All right, this is number 2 on your QR code review. So it says states the transformations and graph the function. Be sure to show all tables of values. So it gives us our function. So first we want to list the transformations. And if I take a look at my function, I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 transformations. So 1, 2, 3 transformations. I want to follow PEMDAS. So in parentheses, I know I'm going to have a phase shift because this is my H value. Phase shift, because it's subtraction, I'm going to set this expression equal to 0 and solve. And when I do, I'm going to get theta equals positive pi over 2. So it's going to be phase shift right pi over 2 units. And then 2, I'm going to do multiplication. This is going to be my A value. So I know A value is amplitude. So I know my amplitude is being compressed to 1/2 from 1. So amplitude compressed to 1/2. And then 3, lastly, this is my K value. And it's -1, so I know I'm going to be shifted down 1 unit. All right, and these are our transformations for this function. So now let's go to tables, and I want to make this nice and big for you guys. So I'm going to do it on a separate sheet of paper. First, we have to start with our parent function, our parent table. So we have theta and y. Remember, we're going to use our nice easy values of 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. And my parent function is cosine of theta. So if I do cosine of 0 degrees, remember, if we think back to our quadrantals, we have at 0 degrees, we have 1, 0, 0, 1, -1, 0, and then 0, -1. I remember x is my cosine, sine is my y. So I want cosine of 0, and my x value is 1, so I know it's going to be 1. Cosine of pi over 2 is going to be 0. Cosine of pi, -1. Cosine of 3 pi over 2 is going to be 0, and then I'm back to 1. So this is my parent table. And then I need to apply my transformations. So we have phase shift right pi over 2. So I know I'm going to be shifted right. That's going to be affecting my theta value. So I know I'm going to have theta plus pi over 2. And then there's a couple things happening to my y values. First, they're being compressed by a factor of 1/2, but they're also being shifted down. And remember, it does matter the order that we apply these in. So first I need to do multiplication because that comes before subtraction in PEMDAS. So I know I need to multiply all my y values by 1/2. That's applying my compression of my amplitude. So first let's do our theta values. Theta plus pi over 2. So I'm going to take all these values and I'm going to add pi over 2 to them. So 0 plus pi over 2 is just going to give me pi over 2. 1 pi over 2 plus another pi over 2, that gives me 2 pi over 2, which is just pi. Pi plus pi over 2 is going to give me, this is the same as saying 2 pi over 2. So if I add another pi over 2, I just have 3 pi's over 2. If I have 3 pi over 2 and I add one more pi over 2, I have 4 pi over 2, which is just 2 pi. 2 pi is the same as saying 4 pi over 2, And if I add 1 more pi over 2, I go from 4 to 5 pi over 2. All right, and these are going to be my theta values. So then, now I need to just take my y values and multiply them by 1/2. So 1 times 1/2 gives me 1/2. 0 times 1/2, 0. -1 times 1/2, -1/2. 0 times 1/2 gives me 0. And then 1 times 1/2 gives me just 1/2. But then this isn't our final table because we need to apply one more vertical transformation. So I know I applied all the transformations to my theta value. So I know this final table, the theta is going to be the same as this table. But now my y is being shifted down 1. So I know I need to subtract 1 from my y values. So first let me copy over my theta values. 3 pi over 2, 2 pi, and 5 pi over 2. So y minus 1, 1/2 minus 1 is going to give me -1/2. 0 minus 1 is going to give me -1. -1/2 minus 1 is going to give me -1.5, which is the same as saying -3 over 2. 0 minus 1 just gives me -1. 1/2 minus 1 is going to give me -1/2. And then we know we've applied all 3 of our transformations. So this is going to be our final table of values. So right next to it, let's graph these points. So I have pi over 2, -1/2. So I'm going to go to pi over 2, and then I'm going to go down 1/2 unit, which is about right there. Pi, -1, so I'm going to go to pi, and then -1. 3 pi over 2, and then I'm going to go to -3 over 2, which is just -1.5. 2 pi, I'm going to go to -1, so I'm going to go a little bit higher. And then 5 pi over 2, which is probably about right there. Or about right there. 2 more spots. I'm going to go to -1/2. So I'm going to take my points and I'm going to connect them. Remember, nice waves. So it should look something like that. And I want to place down my midline on my graph. So remember, my midline is just y equals k. So I'm going to have y equals -1. So I'm going to take my graph, and on -1, y equals -1, I'm going to draw my midline. Just a dotted line on y equals -1. And then remember, these values are just going to repeat into a nice wave, right? So I know if I go to 0, I'm going to go back down to my midline. If I go to -2, I'm going to go back down to -3 over 2. Then negative pi, I'm going to go back up to my midline. -3 pi over 2, I'm going to go up to 1/2. And then -2 pi, I'm going to go back to my midline. And I should get a nice wave that repeats. All right. And this is my graph of number 2.